What's going on, everybody? It's Dadbot here. Welcome back to my Demon Souls veteran walkthrough. And once again, if you would consider yourself more of a newcomer to the series, like if this is your first Souls game to ever play, again, I would suggest hopping on over to my newcomers walkthrough, which I will break down the basics and my strategies in a lot more detail in that walkthrough. And this one, I'm kind of assuming you know a thing or two about these games already. And we're about to see why right now. That guy right over there, I pointed him out in the last episode. That is a red-eyed knight. We're actually going to go over there and fight him. My way of fighting him is I charge on in, sprint, lock on, shield up, and get behind him. You want to fight him here. You do not want to fight him on the bridge. And you're going to want to keep your shield up. His spear attacks can one-shot you if you do not have your guard up. And you're only going to want to attack if you're behind him. Do not attack him in front of him because his spear attacks are very quick. And if you don't have your shield up, he will one or two shot you. So have your shield up if you're in front of him. Just kind of circle around, wait for him to make the move, and then get behind him and attack. So you just kind of punish him. When he does get to a certain point, he will, that was risky healing right there, but fortunately worked out. When he does get to a certain point in his health, he is going to try to heal. The key is to not let him do it. So to try to not let him do it, you want to stay right on top of him. And once you see him try to heal, he's probably going to try to do it right now. Once you see that animation, you're going to want to attack him right away and knock him out of it, like what I did just there. I attacked him right away, and he was not able to heal. And so now we're back into the fight. If he tries to do it again, I'm going to try to, again, knock him out of it. And see, he tried to heal right there, so knock him out of it. And then carry on with the fight. One or two more shots should get him. And there we go. That is the Red-Eyed Knight. So he drops some pretty powerful grass. That is full moon grass. And then behind him here, we have an unknown hero soul. So the rewards aren't that great for killing him. You get a couple thousand souls, and this door's locked. We're going to come back here later. He is by far the hardest enemy we can face at this point in the game. For those of you who are familiar with Miyazaki's other games, he kind of likes to put a way OP enemy in like the first level, almost as if it's a dare. Like, hey, come and see if you can fight this guy. And it's kind of a test of your either willpower or strength. I'm kind of stubborn, so I always like to fight those guys. And I remember my first time playing this game, I was fighting him for like 3 hours before I finally killed him. So don't feel bad if you can't kill him. Another way that you can kill him is kind of cheesy, but you can lure him all the way here to this other side of the bridge. If you take him over here, you'll get to where those ledges are. If you press up and R1 at the same time, you do this kind of push move. You can actually push him over the edge and he'll fall to his death. I prefer just to fight him head on. It's just a lot of fun. I enjoy the combat, so that's kind of how I approach it. So the next stop is we're going to have to go through this fog gate here, and this unlocks the next portion of the level. And you'll notice right away, if you look here to your left, you're going to notice a guy right there. That is an NPC who's friendly to us. His name's Ostrava, and there's an important item right there. If you wanted to, you can go in and vault over this ledge. I like to go around the other side of the level. And the reason being is I want to kill everybody first before I rescue him, just because I want to make sure that he stays safe. And that guy's always going to throw a firebomb and blow up those barrels. So you're going to want to make sure you wait till the fire dies out, because you will still take damage if you go in too early. And you'll see these guys, you know, it's taken quite a few hits to kill them. So I'm going to two-hand my weapon for the most part through this section of the level. And there will be spots where I do go back and forth between using my shield, but two-handing is a great benefit. You'll see the extra damage we're doing there with two-handing, and it makes it easier in my opinion, because as I said, I do prefer to dodge a bit more instead of blocking. But so there are some points where I do use my shield, and you do not want to charge on in there. The reason why I waited for that guy to come to me was because if you charge in and try to attack him, then you're going to get ambushed from the side, and that's not going to go well for you. So next of all, we're going to go through here, break through these barriers, and this looks like an enemy. Do not, I repeat, do not attack him. He is a merchant. He is friendly. He sells some stuff. There's really not anything that I'm interested in, but he is a merchant, and you know you can get some different armor, things like that if you are interested in any of his wares. He sells some grass if you're running low, that sort of thing. Sells arrows and whatnot. So the thing is, if you kill him, it will have a negative impact on your game. I've mentioned world tendency and character tendency very briefly. I'm not going to get too deep into it right now, but if you kill him, it will mess up your character tendency. So just do not, I repeat, do not kill him. And as tempting as it is, as much as he looks like an enemy, just don't do it. Okay, so here, this is actually another ambush. If you run on forward, there's going to be guys that vault over that wall. So what I like to do is I like to take these guys out, use our longbow. That's one of the reasons why I like starting with this class, is because we have the longbow, which allows us to attack from afar. So I'm going to go on and take these guys out with my longbow and arrows, so I don't have to worry about them attacking me from the front while I have these guys vaulting over the wall from the side, and you know that can be bad news. So that guy's having some trouble finding his way to us. So I'm going to go on and take out this crossbow archer. Oops, I missed. The arrows are like going right through him. Oh, he actually he found his way. That's okay, but he's pretty weak. That kind of startled me. I was zoomed in over here and I wasn't paying attention to the guy. There we go. Hitbox was a little bit wonky there, but it's all good. And I'm gonna have to get out of the way because that's gonna hit me if I don't. So got him, and there's another one up here that I'm gonna use my longbow on. Get him out of the way, and then we're gonna move on forward. Oops, he kind of moved his position, so I missed that one. There we go. Take care of him. Relatively risk-free. So now we're going to see these guys vault over, and you see why we handled things the way that we just did. And, you know, of course, watch out for fire bombs. Should have been more careful. And they have axes too. But, you know, as I said, I like two-handing. So two-handing does a lot more damage, and especially does better, a little bit better with crowd control. Let's see, do I have my fire bombs on? Yes. There's probably going to be a couple of spots here where I use fire bombs. Before we go up there, which is actually the way forward in the level, we're going to go down and explore this area thoroughly. Just want to make sure I didn't miss an item drop back there. Nope. Okay, we're good. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is go down here. I like to pull these enemies on kind of one by one using my bow. And if I can kill them while they're moving, even better, but sometimes they can be hard to hit when they're moving, but because they do move kind of fast. And headshots do not do any more damage, so you're not gonna get a one shot. For example, if you get a headshot, it's not gonna work that way for you, unfortunately. I'm trying to lure his lunge attack there, and then I fell into his combo, but it's all good. All right, so now that there's two of them down here, should be fine. I'm going to two-hand my weapon, and you know I can two-shot these guys with a heavy attack, so it's not that bad. Let him jump through me, get a backstab. And not too bad. Okay. So actually, if you roll through here, there's kind of like a hidden door right there that we're going to go through next. And there's a couple enemies over here, so just be careful. Down the hallway here, I think there's a blue-eyed knight, so I'm going to switch back to my shield because I do like to block their attacks. That is one enemy where I do prefer to block are those knights because it makes it easier to get behind them. And again, the blue-eyed knights are way easier than their red-eyed counterparts. It's funny because I mentioned we're going to go back to that same spot later in the game, and you're going to see just how far we come because when we fight that red-eyed knight again, I mean, we're going to kill him in like 2 hits, and he's not going to be a problem later in the game. And that knight dropped a claymore. That's a fairly rare drop, so I'm glad that I got that. That's pretty lucky, actually. Not going to lie. Hopefully you get a claymore as well, but if not, you know, there's going to be an opportunity to get one later anyway. Because normally in the way I play this game, I normally end up buying a claymore later, but now we got this one for free, so I'm pretty pumped about that. Just get around this archer, and he's a one-shot with a two-handed strong attack, so you pick up this soul item here. I'm going to top off health real quick. Maybe not all the way, but okay. So here's a spot where there are a bunch of enemies. So you see all these exploding barrels. You can kind of lure them out around here. And then you throw a firebomb. Kaboom. I got all of them except the one that was right next to me. And there's a couple more that might come out too. But they're not, you know. I'm going to roll through them. And then heavy attack. One heavy attack gets them. So with the two-hand. There might be, yep, there's a couple more. I don't really need to firebomb them though. So I'm not really all that concerned about it. Because, you know, we can, again, with a two-hand, we can one-shot these guys with a heavy attack. So not too bad. So that firebomb definitely was quite useful. And again, let's see, there's some upgrade stones there. And again, the reason why I'm taking all these guys up before rescuing Ostrava is because when you rescue him, he tends to wander around here. And he can handle a lot of these guys, but I want to make sure that he stays alive because he does have kind of a quest line that you can follow in this game. And I want to make sure that I take everything through all the way to the end. Got the scimitar. There's a couple of more enemies around here. There's one. Oh, the soldier. Let's see. So you see that kind of heavy attack does horizontal damage, so it is quite nifty for crowd control purposes. All right, anything in here? Nope, just kind of a little corner there. All right, so there's a bunch of guys in here, and there's Ostrava. So we're going to take care of these guys, and he'll be very thankful for our assistance. So I'm going to throw a firebomb, blow this thing up, and that actually didn't even really help very much. It only killed one guy, but it's all good. Let's see if there's a cluster of them right there, so one firebomb should take them all out. There we go. And I'm done using firebombs for the time being. As I said, I want to save a number of them for the boss because they make the boss a lot easier. That stupid combo. All right, that one's got a fire sword. There we go. All right, so Ostrava hops on down, and he thanks us. And as a reward, he gives us a brass telescope. So from this point forward, I mean, he doesn't really do anything. He just kind of wanders around. And if there's enemies, he will engage them and attack them. And the thing is at this point in the game, we don't want Ostrava to die because I want to show you just his full quest line and can't do that if he dies. So I'm going to top off health. It got kind of low there. It was a little bit sloppy with some of those dreglings, but it's all good. And that item he gave us, what was it? The brass telescope, you know, it kind of helps you. It's kind of like binoculars. It helps you see from far away. So I'm going to send all this into storage. Throwing knives, I'm going to send into storage. And the full moon grass, you know, you'll see that the higher tier, the grass, the heavier that it is. So you'll see 7 full moon grass is 4.9, which is way higher than 15 crescent moon grass. So the more HP recovery, the heavier the grass is in your inventory. And one thing I haven't really gone through yet is, in addition to equipment burden, which affects your mobility, you also have an item burden. So now you see in your inventory screen, we have this item burden. You'll see you have 35.5 out of 94. You can only carry as many items in terms of weight that your item burden will allow. So we can only carry 94 units, I guess you'd call it. So it just basically prevents you from stockpiling your inventory that you have actively. So it makes you kind of have to manage it a little bit and send some of your heavier stuff to stockpile Thomas. So these shards that we get for upgrades, I always send them to storage because you can use them even when they're in storage. They don't need to be in your inventory for you to do upgrades. So I always send them over. The Claymore, we don't really have it. We don't have the stats for it yet. Let's see. We need 20 strength to use it, which we don't have quite yet. So I'm going to send the scimitar over and the soldier's shield. So just doing a little bit of inventory management here. So with that said, I think we're good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to head back to the beginning where we first saw Ostrava over that ledge, and we're going to pick up that item that was right there. And again, you can actually drop down from there at the beginning. I just prefer to take out all of the enemies first just to ensure that Ostrava's not going to get himself in a bind and get hurt or get himself killed. Or, you know, if you accidentally hit him when you're fighting other enemies, you'll aggro him and he'll, you know, he won't be friendly anymore. And, you know, it can just, you know, not be ideal. So anyway, I'm going to hop on over this wall by pressing circle. And here we have the Thief Ring. And the Thief Ring is something that I'm going to be using for a large chunk of the playthrough. As you can imagine, I'm actually going to put this in place at the Providential Ring. It enhances your stealth. Makes you harder to detect, which may not sound like much, but there are many, many points in this game where the Thief Ring is an enormous help. So you know, I'll call out certain points of the game where it's like if you don't have it on, you're going to want to put it on because it's going to help you out enormously. So I tend to leave it on just because, you know, it helps you sneak up on enemies better. It, you know, makes it so you're going to have less encounters where you get swarmed because fewer people can see you and that sort of thing. So it does help out. And I do leave it equipped for probably a majority of the playthrough. Again, I'm replaying most of this game in soul form, so a lot of the time I have just the Cling Ring and the Thief Ring equipped. That's sort of my bread and butter. There are times where I change it up. In this Blue-Eyed Knight, I like to lure him down here just so you have more space to fight him. I don't like fighting him on the stairs. It can get kind of dicey fighting him on the stairs. It's much easier to fight him where you have some room to maneuver. And you're seeing we're accumulating a decent amount of souls here. You cannot level up until after you kill the boss in this level. So we're actually getting kind of close to the boss. And then after that, when we get back to the Nexus, we'll be allowed to level up. So we'll be able to get quite a few levels too when we first get back there. All right, so you'll see when you get to this spot, there's a bunch of guys down there. You can actually, if you go to the side here, you can hit this. And then well, I was too close, but then it lets all these boulders out, and then it rolls down and kills all these guys for you. So makes your life a bit easier if you know that little trick. You definitely do not want to be standing directly in front of there when you do that, because if you do, you're going to get trampled by the boulders too. So try to stay off to the side, maybe a little bit further back than I was, because I did get hit. Took a little bit of damage there, but nothing too overwhelming. So we're going to head on down here, and there's going to be some more guys over here that kind of jump out at you. There we go. They've got spears. So the spear people have a lot of range. So I tend to like to block their attack. See if I can get behind them. And not much luck getting behind them, but you know, blocking their attack stuns them, and so it gives you an opportunity to hit them even from the front. And that guy was able to get behind pretty easily. But yeah, those guys are a little bit tricky. Just watch out for them. So down here, we're going to come across the dragon's nest. You'll see there's a red dragon and a blue dragon. We're going to encounter both of them later, and you'll see there's a bunch of items there. Do not take the bait. You will get roasted if you take the bait. But you can run down here, and it protects you from the fire if he does breathe the fire at you. You see breathe the fire, and we're protected by this cliffside. There's a couple items over here that I do want to go on and grab. So we got Archstone Shards and Full Moon Grass. So Archstone Shards, what they do is they function, they're consumable, and they function as basically, if you use it at any point in time, it'll warp you straight back to the Nexus. And unlike the Nexial binding, which we got when we first went to the Nexus, the Archstone Shards allow you to keep your souls. If you use the Nexial binding, you forfeit your souls. It'll warp you to the Nexus, but you forfeit your souls. So we can't really do anything else here at this point, just because, you know, that red dragon's going to blow fire at us, and that doesn't end well if you don't show him some respect. Later on in the game, we're actually going to kill both of those dragons, but for now, they're there, and we can't do anything about it. And actually, when talking about world tendency, if you get to pure white world tendency, those dragons actually leave, and you can get those items there risk-free. I keep on hitting the wall with my... there we go. He had 1 HP left. That's awesome. So this red dragon, he's going to fly over here, and he's going to blow up this bridge and everyone on it, or most everybody on it. Oh, he's not blowing it up yet. I'm going to see if I can get to the other side here. This could be bad. This is probably a bad idea. Okay, I got through. So this is kind of the quick way. There are times where the red dragon will fly down, he'll swoop down, and he will blow fire on the whole bridge. So it kind of is subject to RNG, I feel, because there are times where I come down for the first time, and then the red dragon just comes down and blows it with fire. If he does that to you, you're just going to have to wait kind of until he goes away. See, watch. He's going to do it now. See, that's what he'll do sometimes, is he'll roast the entire bridge. And if he starts doing that to you, you're just gonna have to wait till he runs his course. Eventually, he'll fly back to his nest, and then you can run across the bridge like I just did. But yeah, he'll do this a few times in a row, and then you'll just have to kind of bide your time until he lets you pass. Because if you are on the bridge when he does his fire, then you're pretty much a goner. So I'm gonna pick up these items here. Looks like those are the only people who dropped anything. So move on away from here. So there's a little piece of loot down here. Unknown warrior soul. And this unlocks the boss room. So that big gate on the first floor when we first came in here, that lever opens it up, and that's where we're going to fight the boss. So we are actually making our way back down to the beginning. Here, this is kind of a trap. There's going to be an enemy on both sides of you. So just watch out for that. So you're going to have to go to your left and then to your right, or to your right and to your left. Just know that when you walk in here, there's going to be an enemy on both sides of you. So you can break through all this stuff, get up here. And we got some more pine resin, which again, we're going to be using on the first boss, who is weak to fire. Whoops. Beware of that guy. I was actually taking a peek at my notes and I wasn't paying attention. That's what I get. And he's a spear wielding fella. So I should use my shield to stun him. There we go. All right, and there's going to be a couple more guys in here that bother you. I believe they also have the spears. Yep. Come on. Come on out. There's going to be one more that throws fire bombs at you too, so watch out for him. This guy over here will throw fire bombs if you're... Yep, there he's trying to get one. But too quick for him. Okay, I'm going to heal up real quick. So now we are working our way back down to the bottom, which is where that gate is that we just unlocked. You're going to have your shield up coming down here because more enemies. And you'll see that blob over there with that giant shield. He actually throws spears at you, so you would definitely want to have your shield up to kind of block those attacks. This guy... Come on, jump. He's not going to jump? Okay. Makes my life a little bit easier. And got to get this guy too. He's kind of going a little bit slower than the other ones. The other ones are a bit more aggressive, but I'll take it. Okay. So these guys, I recommend approaching them with your shield up because they throw these big spears at you. You want to get behind them because obviously they have that shield blocking their front. So getting behind them is where the money is made with their damage. Because otherwise, if you hit them straight on, you were seeing I was doing hardly any damage up front. So hop behind this little archway right here. Get a soul item. Another spear throwing blob. So get behind him. And some of those guys, they'll drop upgrade shards as well. That's why you want to have your shield up. I was not paying attention, unfortunately. Get behind him. There we go. And no drops. But it's okay. All right, so right here, we got some more half moon grass, and we pull the lever. And so this gets us to the other side. So remember that first shortcut that we opened up with the cling ring was right across from where we're at now. So that shortcut gets us right here. And as I said, the lever we pulled up there opens up this gate. So we're about to fight the first boss, the Phalanx. I guess the first true boss. The Vanguard is technically the tutorial boss. So let's hop on in. Have your fire bombs equipped. They're going to come in handy for this fight. And you're going to want to lock onto it right away. You see it's basically the Phalanx is just a big blob of those guys who are just fighting. You want to lock on kind of in the middle if you can. And throw a fire bomb, and you're going to hit a bunch of them. Look at that. And look at the damage you're doing, too. You're killing a lot of them. And so the boss is basically just a big harmless blob in the middle. So really, the only thing that does damage to you are these big shielded, blobs. They're like his little minions. And so the fire bombs do huge damage to them. This whole thing is weak to fire. So I'm going to I'm actually going to use all of my fire bombs. Get those ones. And then I'm going to run around to the other side here. I'll top up my health just a bit. And let's see, I'll use... Whoops, I meant to use a firebomb there. If but I have my grass equipped. There we go. I don't know why that didn't do so much damage, but my last firebomb, there we go. Pretty good. So now I'm going to throw on, I don't have my pine resin equipped. Oh, man. That could have went poorly. Yeah, have your pine resin equipped when you go in here, because I'm definitely going to use it. It's going to help us out a lot. So I'm going to two-hand, and you'll see we're doing some pretty good damage to these things. And the ones that are still on him, you'll see we're doing pretty good damage actually to the boss. So once he's exposed, once you kill enough of those little blobs, the boss itself is exposed, and you know he can't hurt you. But again, the only things that'll hurt you are these minions of his. He's almost dead, so pretty quick fight. Not too difficult. I'd say he's a lot easier than the Vanguard Demon in the tutorial, and he's a lot easier than the Red-Eyed Knight. So some of these actually dropped some loot for us. Got some Hardstone Shard and some Sharpstone Shard. Not a bad haul. All right. And some more Hardstone Shard. So it looks like that's it. So straight ahead is 1-2. We are not going to head there quite yet. We're going to go there a little bit later. But for now, we have this Archstone that is unlocked to us. And we get the Lead Demon Soul, which is the Phalanx's Demon Soul. And if you touch the Archstone, we can warp to the Gates of Boletaria, the 1-1 Archstone, or we can go back to the Nexus. So for now, we're going to go back to the Nexus and take care of some business here. Let me get a little cutscene. So there's the Maiden in Black. She's kind of our hostess in the Nexus. So she tells us to go talk to the Monumental. That's what we have to do to progress through the game. The Monumental is all the way back up here. And quick note, you'll notice that we are now back in human form. So killing a boss in this game gets you from soul form to human form. There's a couple ways to go from soul form back to human form. One of those ways is to kill a boss. And the other way is to, there's an item that we'll get a bit later on that will transfer you from soul form back into human form. So those are the two ways to go from soul form to human form. And again, to go from human form to soul form, you just have to die. So this is the big statue. This is not the Monumental. This over here is the Monumental that we need to talk to progress. So you talk to the Monumental, you get a cutscene. Now, let me warn you, do not spam the X button indiscriminately to get through this dialogue, because you get to this question, accept the mission, yes or no, it defaults to no. If you hit no, you are locking yourself out of a ring that you're going to need to get later if you're going for the Platinum Trophy. In order for you to get that ring, which is going to be actually one of the last things that we do in this playthrough, if you want to get that ring, you have to select yes. There are so many people that have locked themselves out of it, just because they've been mashing X. They accidentally hit no and they don't even know it. You have to hit yes if you want. There's a ring that the Monumental is going to give us later, and he will only give it to us if we hit yes. So I just want to point that out, because that is a very easy mistake to make. So do not make that mistake if you're going for all rings. So you see there's an item down there. We're going to pick that up. And it is a Stone of Ephemeral Eyes. So speak of the devil. I was just telling you about the item that takes you from soul form to human form. This is the item that it is. It is a consumable, so you only have a finite number of these. But if you use it, if you're in soul form, it'll take you to human form. This is going to be where I give my world tendency spiel. Okay, so we've killed the first boss of the game. So let's check out our world tendency screen. It is extraordinarily hard to see, but believe me when I say it, the Boletaria, so you'll see we have a world tendency kind of icon for each of the 5 archstones. We were just in Boletarian Palace and we killed the first boss. So that archstone, that little icon below the archstone, the little eye thing, is glowing ever so slightly brighter than the other ones. And that's because we killed the first boss in the Boletarian Palace archstone. So world tendency defaults to neutral. And you can move it from neutral to either pure white or pure black. So things that move it to pure white, namely, are killing bosses. And the primary way to move it towards pure black is to die in human form. So what we're going to do to 100% this game is we're going to take all of the worlds to pure white. We're going to do the pure white world tendency events, which if you remember from World 1, the pure white world tendency events involve unlocking that gate at the very beginning of the level. And also a pure white world tendency event in the first in the Boletarian Palace Archstone is the dragons are gone, so you can get all that loot around the dragons. So when we get to Pure White World Tendency in Boletarian Palace, we're going to take care of those. And there's similar events in each of the other Archstones that can only be done if you have Pure White World Tendency. So we're going to take all of our levels to Pure White, all of our Archstones to Pure White, and then we're going to take all of our Archstones to Pure Black and do all of the Pure Black tendency events. The reason why we do Pure White before Pure Black is because the only way to get to pure white really is to kill bosses. If you start dying in human form, eventually you're going to run out of bosses to get to pure white. And there's so many people that I've talked to that say, hey, I've killed all the bosses, I'm not pure white, what do I do? And the reason why they're not pure white is because they've died in human form. So what we do is we get to pure white, and then we do all the white world tendency events, and then we'll take those, we'll accumulate those stones of ephemeral eyes, and then what we do is we warp back to human form, and then we die repetitively in the level enough times to get us from pure white to pure black, and we do all the pure black stuff. So that's how world tendency works. It is a bit of a convoluted system that the game does not explain to you at all. So you kind of have to have someone explain to you, or you have to kind of do your own research about it to figure out how it works. But that's the long and short of it. And another thing is we are playing, or I at least am playing offline. If you're going to manipulate world tendency, I also suggest that you play offline. And the reason for that is because if you play online, there are certain things with how the online servers work that actually can impact your world tendency. I don't know precisely how it works. I do know in the PS3 game that each time you started the game, your world tendency for each Archstone would be it would basically calculate an average for everyone who was playing on that server, and then you would inherit that average whenever you started the game. And so it is much harder to manipulate your world tendency online as opposed to offline. And so a lot of people that I've talked to who have had trouble manipulating the world tendency are playing online instead of offline. They're like, hey, I followed your guide completely. I'm not at pure white. Why not? And I ask, are you playing online? And like, oh yeah, I'm playing online. And so that can be why. So if you want to manipulate, which I suggest that you do if you do want to get all of the trophies, if you want to manipulate world tendency, I suggest playing offline for at least your first playthrough. Now we have character tendency. Character tendency is completely separate from world tendency. The things that affect world tendency do not affect character tendency and vice versa. So character tendency is kind of like the karma system in this game. So I mentioned when there was that merchant in the first level, I said, do not kill him. Because if you kill him, it takes you towards pure black character tendency. So killing harmless NPCs, killing friendly NPCs in this game is what takes you towards black character tendency. There's going to be some things that we can do later on in the game that's going to take us to white character tendency. And so much like with the world tendency, what we're going to want to do to 100% this game is we're going to want to take our character all the way to pure white character tendency first, and then do the pure white character stuff. And then after that, we're going to go all the way to pure black character tendency and do the pure black character tendency stuff. And there is a ring in this game that can only be gotten in pure white character tendency. And there's another ring, a separate ring that can only be gotten in this game if you have pure black character tendency. So we're going to do all the pure white stuff first, and then take ourselves to pure black, and then do all the pure black stuff. So that is my world and character tendency spiel. Hopefully that made sense. If you have any questions about it still, let me know in the comments. I've been trying to be extremely diligent about answering anybody who asks me questions in the comments. So let me know if that makes sense or not, or if you still have questions. But that is the gist of it, world tendency and character tendency. There are ways to impact character tendency by playing online and doing PvP. I don't suggest doing that. It can be a little bit risky. And so I suggest, again, if you're going to manipulate your character tendency, much like your world tendency, do it offline first. And then that's the most surefire way to go about doing it. So anyway, that is my spiel. Again, if you have any questions, let me know, and I'll be happy to help you guys out. So as we get further into the game and we start killing more bosses, you'll see, like when you get to pure white world tendency, these icons will start blinking like bright white, and you'll know that you're in pure white. It becomes more obvious, but kind of the incremental steps along the way to getting a pure white. They're not so obvious, but I promise you from killing that first boss in the Bolitarian Palace Archstone, we are now one tick closer to pure white than we were before. So that is my spiel on World Tendency. Hope that helps you out. Hope you find that useful, and let's carry on. So we talked to the Monumental. So what that means is that all of the remaining Archstones are now open. We can go to any other level that we want, and it also means that we can level up. So we're going to head back down all the way to the bottom. We're going to talk to the Maiden in Black. As I said, she is our hostess of the Nexus, and she is the one who helps us level up. So we need to go all the way back down. And so again, kind of on that same note with World Tendency, I mentioned earlier that I'm going to play the vast majority of this game in soul form. The reason for that is because we do not want to die in human form. Every time you kill a boss, you get back to human form, and we do not want to die in human form in any of the levels, because dying in human form in any of the levels takes us towards black World Tendency. And kind of, if you get too far into the black, it's going to be really hard, if not impossible, for you to get to pure white. So again, death is part of this game. I don't know of anybody who's played this game for the first time who has gone through without dying. And so with that as a given, you're going to want to be in soul form, because again, there is a penalty to dying in human form. And that penalty comes in the form of, regardless of which Archstone you're in, you're going to be taking that Archstone towards pure black if you die in human form. So I'll show you how we facilitate that in just a sec. First, we're going to talk to the Maiden in Black. So now she gives us the white ice stone and the blue ice stone. Those are both used for multiplayer. So the blue ice stone, actually, that's I when I play multiplayer, I tend to equip those to this little tool belt that you get from hitting the touchpad. So I'll put, you know, my blue ice stone here, and then my white ice stone here. And again, these are multiplayer exclusive items, so if you're not playing online, these aren't going to matter anyway. So the blue ice stone is how you basically activate co-op. And then the white ice stone is if you're playing co-op and you want to go back to your own game, you can use this to kind of warp out. There's a stone that we're going to be getting a little bit later that's going to facilitate the PvP aspect of multiplayer, but we're not going to get that for a little bit. But again, the blue ice stone is used for co-op. So talk to her again, and she will let us level up. So we can seek soul power. I'm going to take my strength up a bit. And then, let's see. I'm going to take my dex up a tick, because we're going to be using a more powerful bow in just a bit. So I'm going to do 15 strength, 13 dex. Let's see. I will dump some levels into faith to get our first miracle memory slot. So you see at the bottom right here, we have miracle memory slots and magic memory slots. That comes into play when you start equipping magic. And there's some folks in the Nexus that you talk to that you can get your miracles and your magic from. And we are going to do a little bit of magic in this build. Not a whole heck of a lot, but enough to get us by and make our build a little bit more versatile. And I'll take my magic up to 9, because I think you need to get it up to 10 before the people will sell you spells. And there are a couple spells that we're going to want to obtain as part of this playthrough. So go on and confirm that. That should be good enough for now. And we're at level 14, so not too shabby. One order of business that we want to take care of is, if you remember, we got that jade hair ornament in the first level. So we're going to want to talk to Stockpile Thomas, and you're going to want to exhaust his dialogue. So talk to him, just talk to him a few times, and then if you walk away and come back to him, you should recognize that you have the ornament, and he'll ask for it. There he goes. So you want to give it to him, because for giving it to him, he gives you the Ring of Herculean Strength, and you're going to need that ring if you're going for the All Rings trophy. And the only way to get that ring is by giving him the Jade Hair ornament. So now we have that. And this raises our item burden capacity. So, I mean, it can come in handy depending on, you know, what you're lugging around, if you're kind of overburdened with your items. So it, again, it enhances your carry capacity for your inventory. It's that item burden. It'll bump it up. quite a bit. All right, so there's really not much we need to do in the way of inventory management. And that's it for the Maiden in Black, really. You know, we got our levels kind of where we want them at this point in time. So the next thing that we're going to do is there's a couple secret items in the Nexus, and they're kind of tucked away and pretty hard to find. But before we do that, I mentioned that you want to play this game in soul form if you are seeking to manipulate world tendency. And I mentioned, you know, there's pure white world tendency events and pure black world tendency events that can only happen if you're in one of those states. There's a couple other impacts that world tendency has on the game. Most notably, if you're in pure white world tendency, the enemies are easier to kill. They have less HP and they deal less damage. And likewise, you get fewer souls from killing them, but they are easier to kill and they are more likely to drop grass and healing items. And pure black world tendency, it's the exact opposite. The enemies are harder to kill and they have more HP and they deal more damage. And you get more souls for killing them, and they're more likely to drop upgrade stones as opposed to grass and pure black world tendency, or closer to black world tendency. So the further you get to white world tendency, things become a little bit easier for you. The closer you get to black world tendency, things get a little bit harder, more challenging. And so, again, just beware of that when you're thinking about world tendency. So, again, dying in human form in any of the archstones will take you towards black world tendency, and we don't want that. As I said, we're going to play the vast majority of this game in soul form, so how you do that without dying in any of the levels is you can kill yourself in the Nexus by rolling off this ledge. And so anytime you kill a boss, what you're going to see me do back in the Nexus is after killing the boss is we're going to come back here, we're going to commit suicide, and that gets us into soul form. So here we are back in soul form, just from rolling off that ledge in the Nexus, because the Nexus... you know, the Nexus's tendency, so to speak, doesn't really matter. It doesn't have any impact on the game whatsoever. So you can die in the Nexus however many times you want, and it's not really going to impact the game. However, dying in any of the archstones, in any of the worlds, will impact your game if you're in human form. So I always recommend converting from human form to soul form in the Nexus. And when you do that, you want to make sure you come back up here and pick up your bloodstain to pick up whatever souls you may have had left. So the secrets in the Nexus, you'll see there's an item right down there in that corner, and there's an item right down here in that corner. If you can, there it is. You can kind of see the glow. It's harder to see that one. It's right there. You can drop down and get them. It is challenging. I'm not going to lie. So to get this first one, you're going to want to sort of drop onto this little block that sticks out a little bit further, and you're going to want to walk very carefully down to these subsequent blocks. And this one, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to sort of walk off diagonally. You don't want to roll onto that ledge that's right below us where the item is, because you'll overshoot it. So you want to kind of walk just diagonally like this, and you'll slide right off, and you'll land right here. Now you see we just took a little bit of damage. If you do it wrong, you're going to die. So it is a bit tricky to execute. And for that, we get some New Moon Grass, which is actually a 100% heal. The New Moon Grass is one of the most powerful types of grass in this game, and it heals your health 100%. So, you know, we took some damage from that fall. So before we get the other item, we're going to take some damage from falling for that one too. So I'm going to top off my health before we go back up to that one. And we're going to drop down on the other side to get the other item. And it is a bit tricky, so don't... try not to get frustrated if you accidentally fall off. As I said, there's really no penalty for dying in the Nexus. So, and we're in soul form anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Just make sure that if you do fall to your death, you go back and reclaim your souls, because if you die before reclaiming your souls, of course, you are going to lose them forever. So you see here, there's this one block that sticks out just... Oh, I just messed that up. I just died. So, as I said, it is hard to pull off. But we're going to go right back up there. I'll show you. I accidentally walked off the ledge when I was trying to point out that block to you. There is that one block that sticks out just farther than the other ones, and it is tricky. It's trickier to get to than the other one, than the first one that we did. But it is as long as you know where you're going, it is not too terribly difficult. So this block that's sticking out a little bit is the one that we're after. And again, you kind of want to shimmy off of here diagonally. You don't want to walk directly off perpendicular, because you will overshoot it. So from there, you're going to want to drop down to here. then drop down to here. And then from here, if you just kind of walk off, this one you do kind of want to walk off perpendicular, but just barely. You're going to slide right off. And that was too far. So again, it might take you a couple tries to get this, but of course I wanted to show you because I want to make sure that you can get everything that there is to get in the Nexus. And this other item, you know, the first one was a new moon grass, which I'm actually going to go on and throw in my storage because I'm going to use those later in the game for some of those more challenging bosses that deal a lot of damage. This one is actually a soul item, and it is a very powerful soul item, so you don't want to miss it. Hopefully I'll pick it up this time. Maybe try dropping down to this one. There we go. That's it. There you go. So now we're right here. Pick it up. Renowned Warrior Soul. That's going to be a pretty decent soul item for us. So what we're going to do now is we are actually going to warp to the 4th Archstone. We're going to cut ahead a little bit. And there is a very strong, you know, kind of early game weapon that we can pick up in this level. But before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and cut this episode right here. So for that weapon, tune in next time and I will walk you through the beginning part of this level and show you exactly where to go and what to do. And as I said, we're going to pick ourselves up a very nice weapon that's going to help us out immensely in the beginning of this game. And really, it'll help you regardless of your build. It's that good of a weapon. So anyway, stay tuned, and we'll catch on next time with that. And as always, please, if you haven't already, join the squad and subscribe to the channel. Leave a like and a comment. Let me know how you guys are doing. If you have any questions, I'm always happy to answer when I have some free time to respond to comments and whatnot. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, and I'm having a blast doing all of these videos. So anyways, have a great day. I'll see you next time.